Hey, this is Pam Didner here. I'm a B2B marketer through and through. And for this specific webinar I recorded, I talk about your marketing mindset and how would that benefit your career development and the career promotions. So in this webinar, I talk about what is a marketing mindset and how can you benefit from that and how would that impact in terms of what everything you do in marketing. And the third, I talk about how that marketing mindset can lead to additional career opportunities and a promotion. So watch the video and let me know what you think. Well, Happy New Year. All of you are probably happy to let 2020 go. And now 2021 is here, and there has been 14 days so far. Well, you know what? It's not going on the right start, at least in the US, but I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful. So hopefully after 20th, everything will calm down and we will see. We'll see. So if you are new to my webinar, I just want to do a quick intro. Pam Didner here. I'm a B2B marketer through and through. I love B2B marketing, and that's what I do every day. And I wrote 3 books on global content marketing, effective sales enablement, and the modern AI marketer. If you are interested in scale your content across the region, check out the global content marketing, and effective sales enablement is really about how to enable sales as a marketer. And the modern AI marketer is a little nice ebook talking about artificial intelligence impact in the overall B2B marketing landscape. If you are interested in any of these books, check them out. I work very closely with the marketing teams in terms of the sales and marketing alignments. And I'm doing that through the content marketing, account-based marketing, and sales enablement. And through one-on-one coaching with a lot of seasoned and the professional marketers. And I do a lot of workshops, and also my own webinar like this. So welcome and thank you so much for coming to my webinar today. I use a lot of GIFs for my webinar, and you're going to see some of that. The things I want to share with you, and it's a little bit about personal journey, to be honest with you. And I want to talk about the marketing mindset and the career opportunities. This is one quote I want to share with you. Before I share that with you, you're probably thinking marketing mindset and career opportunities, are they even related? Are they totally different? And what are the connection between these two, if there's any, right? But before I dive that in depth, there's specific quote I really, really liked, and I want to share that with you. Thoughts are behaviors we haven't learned to observe yet. So I want you to keep that in mind. How many times that you have a thought that pop into your mind and say, you know what? I have a craving, for hamburger, or I am hungry. And then that thought comes to your mind. And the next things that you know, without you noticing or even being aware of it, you kind of just walk down to the kitchen and open the refrigerator, right? And that happened to me multiple times. Like, for example, I want something, and without thinking the consequence of that thought, I already took action. Right? So be aware that the thinking or the thoughts are the behaviors that sometimes we are just not aware of it. We don't see it as a behavior, but because it's in our mind, right? So thoughts are behaviors we haven't learned to observe yet. And what is the mindset? The mindset is a collection of the thoughts and beliefs that shape your thought habit. And the thought habits will actually guide in terms of how you think, what you feel, and what to do subconsciously. So your mindset does impact how you perceive the world around you. Marketing mindset, there are 2 things I want to share with you. Actually, there's a book about everything, just like there's an app about everything. There's a book about mindset. It was written by Carol Dweck. And mindset, the new psychology of success, how we can learn to fulfill our potential. And she talked about the 2 different types of mindset, the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. The fixed mindset is basically saying, you know what? My destiny is determined the minute I was born. Talent alone creates success. There's not much I can do about it. If I don't have talent, oh well, right? The growth mindset basically say talent is only a starting point, it's not the end point. any kind of capabilities that you want to develop over a period of time, you can do it through hard works and dedications. From my perspective, there's somewhere a balance between the two. I do believe talents can take you a long way. I can never be Tiger Woods, for example. I can never be, Roger Federer, because I don't have that specific talent, that embedded talent that come with it. But however, if I work hard and I play, I can be a very decent or competent, say, golfer or a tennis player that I can enjoy as my hobby. So I personally think talent is very, very important, but really depends on what your expectation of what your talent will take you. Does that make sense? So you need to actually set expectation also with your whatever talent you have. But at the same time, the hard works and dedication does matter. That with that growth mindset, it impacts in terms of how you do marketing and also career developments. Let me show you the connections. The connection is, if you have a growth mindset, that will guide your marketing efforts. And whatever you do in terms of your marketings, you do it well, you didn't do it that well, the result is going to show, right? And that result is going to reflect on how you do as a part of your job, which is your job performance. Your job performance then will impact your career promotion. So did you see the difference from the growth mindset, the mindset that you need to have, down to how you will think about the career promotion? And I want to talk about that, how you be actively be aware of what you do in marketing, and then document your success or your accomplishments or your learning, and to translate that into how you look ahead for your career promotions, how you want to discuss that with your manager or your career development. With that being said, your marketing mindset is a big deal, right? And there are 3 types of mindset I want to talk to you about. It's not necessarily like you are doing the email marketing right now and you say, okay, I need to have an email marketing mindset. All right, I'm doing SEO, I need to have an SEO mindset. No, I'm talking a little bit high level than that. When I'm talking about the marketing mindset, you need to focus on 3 things: the understanding of your customers and how to make a plan strategic. All right, so it's strategic planning mindset. The other one you need to pay attention to is the technologies and execution. And I want to talk about all 3. And the mindset, like I said, is not something that you are like consciously aware, but it's something that you need to build over a period of time. And I want to share this as a personal experience. I am not, let me say that one more time, I am not a marketer from the get-go. I was a CPA, which is certified public accountant if you live outside the US. So I was accountant. That was my career when I started. So I studied finance and accounting in college. When I got my master degree, is again finance and accounting. I have no marketing background. I took 1 marketing course literally in college. That's it. And look at me. Do I look like a marketer to you? So marketing was never something that I feel that I would have a career. Then I joined a company. I work in the corporate world. In that company, they actually encourage people to move around. So I started as a finance and accounting, moved to operations, moved to supply chain management. I was on manufacturing floor for a little while. And then a manager of mine that worked closely with me moved into operations, a marketing department, and asked me if I wanted to join him. That's how I got started in the marketing. So when I started marketing, I literally was at least 10 or 15 years later than any seasoned marketing professional. I was late. I was 10 years late, right? So everything I learned in marketing is intentional and purposeful. And that started with a certain frame of mindset. That's what I want to share with you. Does that make sense? So I just want to make sure you are aware of what you do. If you are seasoned marketers, or if you have done marketing for a long time, basically marketing is in your blood. You kind of know how to do it. But what I'm trying to say is kind of remind you, can you wake yourself up a little bit and thinking about in terms of, and be a third party like on the sideline, observe your own thinking, how you reach a certain decision, the way you reach that decision. Okay. So with that being said, let's talk about customer understanding. A customer-centric mindset, if you're constantly thinking about customers, your thinking will, or your subconscious will gently nudge you to think about your customers' needs. You will be thinking about, who are my customers? Why do they need to talk to us? What their needs are? How can I help them? What else can I do? Right. So for me, my target audience are B2B marketers. So I have a conversation with Eva all the time. Hey, B2B marketers, what do they need? Well, how can I contribute? What can I share? Right. However, for longest time, I am product-centric. I'm more company-centric, right? I want to talk about my product. Hey, why are our products great? Let's talk about that. How can I pitch to them? What product? What can I say to pitch to them, right? What can I say to them so they can buy right away? That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with those statements, right? What else can I say about my product? They are all good. Those are good questions. I'm not saying don't ask that. But when you are constantly thinking about how you want to sell, what the product that you want to talk about, that will be only thing you will be talking about. Okay. So here, your mindset will drive how you write your content, how you approach your marketing. And this is very obvious statements I want to share with you. In the past, I will write, we have 300 engineers dedicated to delivering solutions with highest performance and optimal protection. How many times you see statements like that, right? So that comes from the mindset of a product and a company. Hey, we have 300 engineers. Guess what? We deliver the best products. Great. But if you actually have a customer mindset, this is how you would write that statement. Our 300 engineers are focused on protecting your data by working closely with customers to deliver next generation solution. So did you see the statements, how it's written? We are all talking about the 300 engineers are doing a fantastic job for you. But how you write, it coming from what kind of mindset that you have. Is that helpful? So this is just one level I want to share with you in terms of your mindset will drive how you write the content. Now let's take it one more level up. Okay. When you have a certain kind of mindset, especially customer-centric mindset, it will start trickling down to a very specific key marketing elements, tangible stuff that you do. If you have that mindset about customer-centric, then when you approach the buyer's persona, you're going to write it a little bit differently. When you are looking into the content creation and copywriting, you're going to do a little bit differently, just like the previous slide I share with you. When you are looking for paid search and organic search, rather than, product-specific keywords, you are thinking about how they actually write phrases or the keywords that they are going to use. Again, that also touch on editorial and also the customer journey mapping. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to say is that your mindset, how you think, impact what you do, and that reflected on the key marketing elements that you create on regular basis. But that doesn't mean you should not be company-centric. That doesn't mean you should not be product-centric. After all, we are hired by a company. They paid our salary. The way that you need to think about that is not about product. It's about strategic planning. So when you are thinking about any kind of planning, in general, any kind of planning you do internally, marketing plan, media plans, event planning, they are all internal documentation. Because they are internal documentations, you need to make sure you get feedback from your management, from your stakeholders. So the strategic planning is really more inward thinking, all right? The customer-centric is more external facing. You are thinking about the customers you want to serve. But the product-specific type of mindset should be weaved, should be embedded into the strategic planning type of mindset. Is that helpful? Does anybody understand? If you do, kind of say, yes, I do. Then that will impact the flow and the elements of your annual marketing plan or any marketing plan that you do. And the most important thing about strategic planning is not you do it on your own. You need to get feedback from your management. You need to get feedback from your stakeholders. Their feedback will weave and incorporate, you will incorporate that into the overall annual planning. And then the mindset usually comes from you have to digest, internalize that their feedback. Some of their feedback, you're like, I'm not 100% agree with it. You need to have that judgment call. You cannot take all their feedback 100%. You need to have a judgment call on some stuff that valid, makes a lot of sense. Some of stuff is just purely noise. They are just saying it for the sake of saying it. Okay, so you need to be able to have, you need to have ability to differentiate that, by the way. And then that feedback, that inward or that internal information, you need to balance that with the customer centric. So when I was talking to when I'm coaching several seasoned marketing professional, they are struggling, and I totally agree because I can see it. They say, well, Pam, you know, if I'm always customer centric, that means I cannot take into account my company's needs. No, that's not necessarily true. It's how you balance that, right? It's always a fine balance between the two, right? So the strategic planning mindset impact the overall strategic part. And so that mindset will guide certain tangible elements of a marketing. Your marketing objectives, your strategies, how you prioritize the key initiatives that you have to do, right? And then second thing is the headcount and the budget allocation. If you have the affinity with the paid media and that's your expertise, you will notice all the questions you ask tend to relate it to paid media. If you have done email marketing inside and out, and a lot of time your marketing plan, good portion of it tend to be focused on email marketing. And that's a human nature. Right? So we know what we know. We don't know what we don't know. And we create a plan based on what we know and the knowledge that we have. But you need to be aware of it. Okay. And so that will drive the headcount and the budget allocation. Also, like I said, the channel optimization, most importantly, is the success metrics and the key performance indicator. Right? That mindset will help you understand or determine what are some of the key indicators that you want to measure your success. And that is super critical because that set up in terms of how you can describe and articulate your success when you have a conversation with your manager about promotion or future career opportunities. Okay, the KPI and success can translate as a part of your resume, and I will talk a little bit more about that later. The next one I want to talk about is execution mindset, right? So I think about the customers, and I talk about strategic planning. This one is, I'm sorry, it's time to get shit done. It's about like, we need to get stuff done, right? So with that, what are some of the key elements that related to that execution and technology mindset? It's really the technology stack or technology sourcing. What are the technology that you're going to use to make you successful? And also, once you build, the things get complicated in digital marketing is when you buy a technology, the technology is all by itself right there. But how to use it, you need to build the processes, you need to build the workflow, okay? And then of course, once you build the processes, you will build a workflow. There's a project management elements that come with it, right? And another thing that tend to puzzle or create challenge for a lot of seasoned business professional is, for example, for the marketing, the centerpiece of the technology tend to be marketing automation. On the sales side, the centerpiece of the technology tend to be CRM. So when you are looking at execution, especially on the back end, how data will flow one point to another, you need to start thinking about the relationships between the marketing automation and the CRM. Okay, that by itself, it's a completely different mindset. I'm still learning over a period of time in terms of how backend works. Eva can attest to that because I spend a lot of money on technology just for my business. And literally almost 10% of my, I would say, revenue actually go to technology. I try different technology and check how things work, and it's very expensive. So, but if you work in a company, take that opportunity to understand how technology works in the back end. It's going to help you tremendously. And of course, analytics, and I also tie with the KPI. So let me show you, okay, in terms of how to take the execution in a more tangible type of manner, right? You're like, execution. Okay, Pam, I'm doing a SEO, so I'm just do SEO, right? And I use SEMrush, and that's my tool. I kind of know my process. So execution it is. But when I'm talking about execution is if you do SEO by itself, in the past, let me start it again. In the past, if you are telling me you do media buy, that media buy, which is a skill set of its own or discipline, can stand alone. Okay, I do media buy, great. And if you do events in the past, physical events, that physical event, that marketing discipline or the marketing knowledge can stand alone. You don't have to talk to a lot of people because you do events. Nowadays, in the digital world, everything's are connected to some extent. Okay, they are connected. If you are doing organic search, right, you have to understand how people search. You also have to understand what kind of content we are creating so that can maximize all the organic search that you do. And you also need to think through, like, if we do paid search, the organic search also and the paid search are somehow complement to each other. And if you do organic search, you know the keywords that people search, well, guess what? You probably can provide feedback into the website and also website copy. So just one discipline I mentioned, which is organic search, it touched like multiple different other area, and they are all related. Does that make sense? So when when I'm talking about execution mindset, it's like, oh my God, just do my job. I'm executing. But I want you to think about how you are doing that actually relate to other marketing functions and the peers that you can provide additional feedback. Okay. So I have a doubt. Just 1 second.
Yes, Pam, we do have one question from Sri. He says, I have a doubt from strategic planning mindset guides. What are the elements of a general annual marketing plan?
Excellent. I actually did a webinar about that. Siri, you kind of missed it. There's 7 key elements and the marketing plans. All right. I talk about it, and Anita probably can attest to it. And Siri, I cannot talk about the 7 elements at this time. I actually have a YouTube video, 3 videos. Each one of them is 8 minutes long. Eva, can you actually add that the YouTube links to the chart right away, to the chat,
yes,
and that Siri
right
can see it? And at the same time, I created a blog post talking about 7 elements in terms of what needs to be included into a marketing plan. So Siri, if this is the first time you attend my webinar, I usually talk about very tangible things that marketers can do. So wait for a minute that Eva can share that information with you. It's just unfortunate I cannot cover the 7 elements to it, but I have answer for you. All right. Good question. Thank you for asking. Really appreciate it. When I talk about execution mindset, a lot of people are very much like, hey, this is what I do and I execute. but I want you to think a little bit differently in terms of execution. Here is what I want you to think about. So this is basically, you can see this as a process. This can be a customer journey, can also be a process and a workflow. So I'm working with a client specifically about matchmaking. So they actually have tons of customers. Some customers are builders, some can build systems, and some customers are buyers. They want to buy certain kind of solution. So the salespeople has been thinking about, you know what, we have so many different customers and we know them very, very well. A lot of time we can also do some matchmaking for them. Like if a certain customers that really are looking to build something, and you also know a customer that actually have that capability, you want to match make them. Does that make sense? So we are looking into how do we do the matchmaking for the salespeople, right? So right here is a customer journey. We are looking from buyers and sellers perspective, right? In terms of sales need to make a recommendation in terms of buyer and sellers. And then if they enter into a system, they will receive a welcome email. And then when they receive a welcome email, they enter their information into the system. And then because there's select buyers and sellers, let's create some sort of e-catalog to help them find each other, right? So, and when they find each other and help them to find each other, and then they actually have some sort of virtual events that people can register, and then the sales will coordinate the meetings with them, and the artificial intelligence features on that platform can also make a recommendation of buyer and sellers to meet. And then when that day the meeting happened, and then there's a follow-up. This is the execution in a different format. So when I'm talking about execution, it's not just you do your job. It's the specific initiative that you do. Can you articulate it so well that people can see in terms of what happened? At the same time, I write down what are the stages that the Salesforce needs to be integrated with that specific platform. The data needs to be flow from one to another. Does that make sense? So when I'm thinking about the execution, I'm thinking about not just do your job and do your job well. It's just a matter of how you connect different dots and understand the workflow and the processes. Does that make sense? So that's one thing I want to share with you when you are thinking about execution, especially in the big initiative. Can you articulate in the flow that people can understand? Can you actually see how different technologies work together? Okay. So if you have the customer-centric mindset, strategic planning, and also the ability to think execution, then over a period of time, doesn't happen overnight. It's kind of like the Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Outlier, right? You need 10,000 hours to master a specific skill set. So when you start having that specific mindset and you are very intentional about it, right? And over a period of time, you will start to understand your customer a little better. Then you tend to focus on in terms of how their journey will look like when they purchase your product. You craft a marketing plan with the results in mind, which is the key performance indicators. And you know that if you really want to track results, you need to monitor it, right? Then you start understanding how different things are working together, right? The connecting the dots. Because of that mindset, and if you started very intentional and purposeful about it, slowly you will become more well-rounded in terms of your marketing skill set. You will all of a sudden you will become a little bit more strategic, not just focus on the task that you do, and you will become more results driven. Because you are so aware of it, you will know if you are doing well or not. You will know. Okay. I am so aware in terms of my marketing effort. Eva and I talk about it, what we need to do and how we need to improve on a regular basis. I become very aware. Am I doing a good job or am I doing a shitty job? All right. Sometimes, I try something, it's just not working very well. Right. So I become very much aware what things that tend to work, what doesn't work. And I have data to support that. And with that being said, when you are doing well and you know you are doing well, you will start quantify the impact that you made. You will start showcase yourself that you can think strategically, right? You will start actually demonstrate that you have certain kind of tenacity to get things done. Because you know you are doing well, all of a sudden reflect on your confidence that you can do your job. Then that mindset will somehow lead to, hey, guess what? I deserve something better. Then you will start thinking about, I want a promotion. Then you will start thinking about, I may need to explore other opportunities. Does that make sense? That mindset will help you. It does. So when I was learning marketing intentionally, like I said, I was 10, 15 years later than everybody else, right? And when I initially, the first 2 or 3 years, very painful because I didn't know anything. Somebody told me copy. I swear to God, I did not know what copy was. It was that bad, right? So I make a very intentional learning, and over a period of time, over about 7 years, I was confident enough and say, you know what, I can actually write a book about it. But that's an intentional effort, right? So proactively seeking your promotions, explore career opportunity. If you work in an enterprise and there are many positions around you, and you have a good manager to start with, you can proactively initiate the promotion discussion. You can tell your manager very frankly and openly and say, I want a promotion. Tell me, what can I do to get there? How can we work together, right? So a lot of time, for example, for my 20 years in the corporate world, the first several promotion I initiated. My manager was like, Pam is not good enough. Well, let me show you I'm good enough, right? So I initiated, I told my manager loud and clear, I want to do it. And it's usually a year of a planning. By the time you share with the manager that he's aware of it, I'm talking about in an enterprise environment. And then we started having conversation. We talked about it, and he gave me additional a scope to show that I can take on additional work. And then it's like a year of a planning over a period of time. And then he represented me at the next performance review, and hopefully and it's got to be a consensus decision. Other senior manager needs to agree as well, right? So initiate that promotion. And this is actually for enterprise environment. If you work for enterprise, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What if you work for a smaller company or a one-person marketing team? How do you look for that promotion and also career development? Well, there are a couple options, inside and outside. Right. First one is if your company is growing, maybe you can pitch that you need to expand your one-person marketing team. You hire either agency and contractor, or you hire additional full-time. That's also growth. Does that make sense? So you are managing more people. The other one is, can you pitch and to the founders and CEO that you become a senior staff just like them? Right. So you expand your marketing role to other different other different company functions. Right. I actually know several VP of marketing in a very small company. They are not just the VP of marketing, they also COO, right? They do a lot of operations. And I also know another VP of sales, and because it's a smaller company, and he also does marketing, right? So can you grow your job and roles and responsibility? And that's obviously within the company. And the other one that you can do is you look for promotion outside the company, because now you know you are good. You know that you can deliver.
I think it's a very good question at this part of the conversation.
I love it.
Amy,
yes.
Amy Lwonsky, she asks, are there transferable skills between marketing jobs and other industries? Like, what can I pull in from previous experience or see if I have the skills for a different area?
Excellent question. I want to address that, even though I only got 15 minutes. Amy, that's a fantastic question. And just like I said and share with everybody that I did not start with the marketing from the get-go. And I move around to probably 5 or 6 different jobs. If you think about finance accounting, that's different than say operations, and that's different than beyond the manufacturing floor doing supply chain management, and that's different from marketing. And what I have found, and a lot of time when I was interviewing for a different job, I always talk about the skill sets that's transferable from one functions to another. For example, results driven. If you are results driven, it doesn't matter you are in marketing or you are in HR. That's a skill set that's transferable. Okay, that's the first. The second thing is you can actually communicate very well, your communication skills. It doesn't matter it's a verbal or also a writing skill. You communicate very, very well. You can articulate very well in terms of your ideas and other people's ideas, even though you move into a very technical companies, because once you start understanding some of the technical knowledge and you can articulate that, the communication skill is also transferable. Another thing is analytics and the planning. If you know how to do analytics, for example, when I was a CPA, we have to do a lot of analytic work. We have to work with numbers. Working with numbers in the finance and accounting field actually helped me tremendously in terms of managing budget in marketing. Does that make sense? So I agree with you that, like, for example, SEO, that's a skill that only for marketing. I cannot translate that or transfer that to, say, manufacturing. Okay, unless they put a website together, right? So there are certain marketing discipline is specifically to marketing, but certain kind of skill set that you have in terms of communication, strategic planning, and your affinity or how you do your jobs, and that can be transferable. Does that make sense? So Amy, we can talk a little bit more. Feel free to ask me questions at my Facebook community. By the way, Amy is a part of my Facebook communities, Build Your Marketing Skills to Get Ahead, which is right here. If you have any specific questions, come to my come to my Facebook communities. I answer all the questions personally, right? So that's one. But let's go back in terms of talking about resume writing. So if you are looking for different jobs and outside the company, you need to actually quantify your marketing contribution. And when I say your marketing contribution, is not write something like, oh, I manage the email marketing campaigns. I launched 25 email campaigns in 6 months, and average opening rate of that email campaign is 40% versus industry benchmark of 10%. That by itself is results driven, but that's not as strong as what is the MQL, marketing qualified leads, that you get from your email campaign as a result of your effort. So when you are quantify your marketing contribution, you need to think a little bit differently. And this is very serious, by the way. Grew web traffic by 70% to 1 million views per month in 3 years without budget increase, right? Even though you are doing email marketing, can you talk about how much website traffic that you are driving, right? And you do product launches, led and manage 7 major product launches with 100 media write-ups, and each launch enable 50 design wins. That doesn't mean that you did that by yourself, right? But you actually contributed to that. You didn't talk about your job specifically, but you talk about what the outcome of your job, right? How you did it may pique the hiring manager's interest and say, oh, you know what? How did Amy do that? Maybe I should talk to Amy about this. Right? So you are not describing how, you describe the outcome of the how. Directly impact sales with 120 high qualified sales qualified leads that resulted in $10 million of revenue contribution. Again, you didn't talk about you doing email marketing. You're talking about the outcome of the email marketing. Does that make sense? That's how you need to quantify your marketing contribution on your resume. It's very important. Does that mean you have to write every single bullet points on your resume like this? No, you don't. But you need to actually have 1 or 2 that pique people's interest when they read that. Okay, good. Facebook community, I talk about that. So the growth mindsets and the positive mindsets guides you in terms of, now I'm talking about how you need to strategize your marketing approach. So Siri, thank you for asking the question in terms of marketing plan. And you can see that in terms of the videos and also the blog posts I wrote in for 7 key elements of marketing plan. Quantifying your contribution. Think in terms of results. What is the outcome of your efforts? And ask questions anytime. Anybody was asking questions today, yay. And write with results in mind. This is very critical. Write with results in mind and communicate that from customer's perspective. When I was in the corporate, and that's a company called Intel, and I was fortunate to join the company at the Intel of a very legendary CEO, Andy Grove. Probably not a lot of millennials knows that name anymore, but it was actually a legendary founder of Intel. And that he was asked at one of our employee forums, several employees asked the question, how can Intel help them to develop their career over a period of time? I mean, it's a fair question. There are certain things that a big company can do to actually give you training, give you a skill set to make you become the asset of the company. And he was very blunt. He basically said, you own your employability. You have to charter your own path. The company can give you training. The company can give you a different job opportunities, but you own that, right? So you own your employability. In terms of your career development, that has a lot to do, trust me, mindset. I was able to do what I'm doing right now. That's because I have a very intentional and a purpose mindset in terms of how the marketing should be. And I think about that all the time. So it starts with the right marketing mindset. I didn't say that, Joey does. Joey did that, okay? So with that being said, I just want to share with you that a lot of stuff that I offer, I do speaking, which is online speaking. I do keynote workshop, training, and webinar like this. And I also do one-on-one mentoring and coaching. And that has a lot to do with, I tend to work with enterprise marketers and more seasoned professionals, but sometimes I mentored a young professional as well. But like I said, if you have any specific question, ask that on my Facebook community. I'll make an effort to answer that. I'm more than happy to do so. Any kind of content marketing, sales enablement, account-based marketing, if that's something that your company does, need some help, reach out anytime. So thoughts are behaviors we haven't learned to observe yet. And my quote or key takeaway from today is learn to observe your own marketing thoughts. It's actually very important. Once you start observing them, you will like, why do I think that way? How should I make that change? It will give you some ideas in terms of what you need to do differently. So cultivate your mindset and purposefully. Unfortunately, I will not have a webinar in February. Frankly, I actually already have the topic decided. Due to a personal reason, I will not be able to do it in February. In March, I will be talking about how to create a content marketing strategy from both sales and the marketing side. So March, please join us for the webinar, and we will actually send out an email as well. You can subscribe to my email to get updates. I don't bombard people with email. Trust me. If I have something to say, I will send out an email. If I don't have anything to say, you are not going to hear from me. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Like I said, if you have a very purposeful and intentional marketing mindset, it will actually create magic in terms of you start become aware of how you think about marketings and what you do. And that will also impact in terms of how you see your career developments and promotion. So good luck with that. If you like this webinar, subscribe to my channel. I do this lengthy webinar every single month, almost every single month. Also join me on Facebook community, build your marketing skills to get ahead. I'd love to see you there. Take care. Bye-bye.